Hello everybody, this is Miss Debbieyle. She's a special needs teacher. Literally, I have been working with her for 3 years. She's such a lovely, hardworking, helpful lady. I have never seen her showing her frustration to anybody. Whenever if I go to her room, I can see a big smile on her face. Usually she refers to me the kids who really need social and emotional support. Thank you so much, Miss Debbie. But welcome back to my channel, Everyday Counseling. This is Counselor Yasemin, and I have a surprise for you. I have a guest in here, Miss Debbie. Debbie. I'm so happy, I'm excited because she was my supervisor as I was pursuing my master's degree. And I have some questions for her and she accepted me. Thanks so much. Welcome.
Thank you, very welcome.
Yeah. Okay, can we know about yourself?
Yes, well, I've been teaching for 41 years, so
wow.
Quite a long time, yes. I'm mainly in teaching children with special needs, learning difficulties, but a variety. I started working in primary, I've also taught A-level psychology, and then for the last, probably 20 years, I've been teaching children with special needs. So
nice. And we have a similar background because she has been also in Africa for a long time.
30 years in Africa,
yes, it's a long time.
Indeed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were in Malawi and then Tanzania and now Uganda. So, yeah.
This is the third country.
It is.
Which one is the best one for you?
They're different. I like Uganda except for the traffic, but Tanzania is very beautiful and the weather's very good. So, yeah.
Thank you. Then what are the things you could point out as a teacher and as a mother?
I think,
because we know you have 3 children.
Sure, I do, yeah. I think, you can use many of your motherly qualities in your teaching, and I think for children with learning difficulties, many of the things that you do to help them, you can also use for all children. But I think, one of the big things that you can do is to just be very, very patient with these children. And of course, there are different types of learning difficulties. We can't just put them all in together. There's, there are children who have kind of just maybe something like ADHD, which is attention deficit. There are children who have, so they need different approach. Children with dyslexia, so you can't kind of say one approach fits everyone. But I would say, that patience is a really, really good thing. And you just go very, very slowly. You don't expect too much of the children. And
accept their condition.
Yes, it's very important to accept because, they can't help it. It's not that they're being naughty. I know when I was a child, probably many children had learning difficulties and people would just think they were naughty and they were kind of, treated as though they were bad children. And now, of course, we know that maybe they had a learning difficulty, but in my day, you would just kind of, there was one rule for every child, and if you didn't fit that, then it was very different. So, and I think, it's kind kind of important, as you say, that you just accept the condition.
How they are.
Which is hard because every mother wants their child to be kind of normal, whatever that means, and some children are just don't think in the same way. It doesn't mean that they don't have their skills, you know. They have other skills, maybe not academic skills, but maybe they're artistic or they're kind of caring, or there are more important things sometimes, I think, than just academics. And as long as you accept that, then I think that's fine.
I would like to emphasize that we are very lucky to have such an experienced lady in our school. The next question is why are they so important for special needs lessons? What do you think about? Special needs, lessons.
I think
some of the parents, they might think like, why my child is taken in a different way.
Yes, I think it's important because they learn differently, these children, and often they get lost in a big class. So if you have 20, 30 children or more in some schools, these children need a lot more individual attention, and often they will not say, because for themselves sometimes they don't understand why they don't understand.
And that takes their self-esteem.
And their self-esteem will be very low, so they're not the sort of children who will kind of, put their hand up and things. So it's important to give them special time, and maybe what they need is a lot more revision of the concepts. So they have to do a lot of revising and reviewing and going over things. So it's important to take them out. I mean, it's also important for them to be in class with their peers.
Social skills.
Yes, exactly. But I think it's also important that they have some time where they can focus on the kind of skills and the help that they need.
Very nice. What are the best ways to help special needs students? You have already pointed out, but still some additional maybe information if you could say.
Okay, I think, as I said, I think patience is a big one. You have to accept that maybe they don't go at the same pace as other children, and so you need to just accept that they're going to maybe do something a little slower. I think something you use is called chunking, which is you put the information into smaller little bits. So instead of, say, for some children you would give a lot of instructions, you break the instructions, you break the task into small pieces. So if they have a story to write, you wouldn't just say, go and write a story about a giant, because that's too broad for these children. They need very specific instructions. So you would say, right, at the beginning, maybe describe your giant now, and then you kind of lead them through the story and make sure they do little bits, and that's called chunking because it's obviously in little bits. I think it's also important to give single step instructions, not too many. Obviously it depends on the age of the child, but for smaller children you will often say, I don't know, something like go and fetch your book, sit down, open the book at page 3 and do the work. Those are too many instructions often for children with special needs. So you have to be very specific. You have to say, go and get your book, let them do that, then you say, now open it at page 10, and then, so very, very specific instructions. And another good way, I think, with children with special needs to check that they're understanding is to ask them to tell you what the task is. So repeat it. So say, okay, what have I asked you to do? What do you have to do? And then they will reflect it and tell you. Then you will know whether they've understood the task or not. But I think, this is true of many children. Many of the things you use for special needs children fits all children. All children like to be kind of, make sure they understand. I think that's quite important.
And then you said they are improving. How do you feel?
It's such a nice feeling. I think it's kind of very different because sometimes the goals are very small and the successes are tiny. But for children with special needs, if they make a small step, like I remember one little girl who managed to do like a 2 times table, and this was such a big thing, and for other children it's not, but it's such little steps are so important. I think it's also very important that you kind of read to the children. That's a really good skill because all children like to be read to, but it's important.
So nice. Okay, the next, what do you think about the pandemic period right now? It's a difficult station. How do you analyze it?
I think it's very hard. I think it's hard for all children, but I think for special needs children it's harder because it's hard to expect the parents to help as well. Sometimes they can be quite demanding and they need a bit of a break from their parents. And socially, I think for the children it's important that they mix with other children, all children, but children with learning difficulties, it's really important that they sort of mix and they learn social skills, because it isn't just the academic, it's the kind of routine of school, and many children with, it depends on of course their learning condition, but maybe children who are autistic often like a lot of structure, and now with this pandemic the structure's gone out of the window. It's kind of there's no school structure, there's no structure, and they would struggle to learn. Online is very difficult for those children.
But from another perspective, at least in international schools, like in our school, we are, I think the students are a little bit lucky because they see their teachers at least online.
Yes,
we are in touch with them. That's also
exactly. That's
we know it is not we cannot compare with the normal time. At least
exactly. I mean, let's hope it all gets back to normal soon. But
we hope. Please, could you give your final message?
Yeah, I would
as a
just
special needs
okay.
teacher?
I would just like to say, you know that children with special needs are children, and
Yeah.
we just treat them the same
Yeah.
as everyone else. They maybe need a little bit of extra helping sometimes, but I just think just treat them as children. They have the same needs, the same wants, the same emotions as we all do, and just accept them, just love them, and just treat them as children.
Yeah, then they will also show their skills and
Exactly.
yeah, and
Exactly.
we can maybe in future we will not regret that we couldn't do the things which they require.
No, exactly. And they bring many things, many different things, you know. So yeah.
And some of them are very creative, aren't they?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
you're very welcome. It's
I'm
been
so
a
happy to
pleasure.
host you in my channel.
Thank you very much.